thanks for stopping by. My name is Rosica, and this is my booktube channel, The Midnight Reader. So this is going to be a sort of rambly, sort of wrap-up, not really vlog kind of video, because a lot of good things and a lot of not so great things happened this month. I thought I'd summarize in a ramble, so this is a ramble. So February was actually a really exciting booktube month for me. I wound up doing my first collab. I swapped book TBRs with my new friend Jay from my Quarter Life Crisis, and that was really fun. So we're working our way through 6 books that we personally recommended to the other person. I started my first buddy read with Teacup the Storyteller, who's this amazing aesthetic booktuber from Slovakia. We did have a bit of a Murphy's Law start to that one, where we started by reading completely different books. It's fine. We fixed it. Everything's fine. Everything's fixed. It was exactly the sort of way that my first buddy read was going to go on Booktube. Let me just say that. Everything that can go wrong always does go wrong. I got to participate in 2 really cool things. I did the banned books tag created by Bookish. I'm very proud of making that video and of all the other folks who are making videos that go along with that tag. I will link the playlist below. The US is not a perfect country by any means, and it has its problems, but watching the censorship that's happening in places like Russia and China, I'm really grateful to live in a place where I can talk about why books should not be banned, and that doesn't incur any fear of retribution for me. So I was really proud of being with a bunch of people who were talking about why freedom of speech in books is important and why not banning them is important. I got invited to participate in the middle grade March readathon by Krista at Books and Jams, and I got to make a short recommendation video that got featured with a bunch of other really amazing YouTube creators. And it was just so cool, and it was just so cool to see everybody else and their mad creativity. And if you're here from either of those videos, thank you. Seriously, thank you. All this loveliness has happened, and it's sort of awkwardly timed because this month has been kind of a reading slump for me. Between the stress of packing up my life yet again and getting ready for another move and feeling completely powerless and generally awful about what's happening to the Ukrainian people right now, I just feel like all the energy has been sucked right out of me lately, and I haven't wanted to read. I just want to sit in silence, stewing in my misery. Because banging your head into the wall and moaning aloud is sort of distracting to the other riders on the shuttle bus. So it's not a great headspace emotionally. It's kind of sort of where I was 2 years ago when COVID started. As an ICU nurse, it was the terrible and overwhelming silence of waiting. And waiting to see how awful things could become, and not knowing the outcome of so much pain and suffering. So it's not a great headspace. Amidst all that, last weekend I decided to take a ski trip with some lovely friends of mine, even though what I wanted to do was just sit under a pile of blankets and refresh my newsfeed every 30 seconds. But I'm happy I went, and it was genuinely very needed and wonderful. I got to eat hot pot. I got to play games with my friends. I got to ski in beautiful Vermont. I got to teach some of my friends how to Nordic ski, which is something I genuinely love to do. I feel very at home on Nordic skis. I like to tell people that I think I knew how to ski before I knew how to ride a bicycle. And that sounds impressive, but it's just that winters are really long in the Arctic Circle compared to summers, so there was a lot more time of childhood spent to be on skis. It was just really nice and comforting, and it felt like a piece of home and a piece of the familiar, and it was just the sound of skis and poles swishing along under branches on a cold, clear day, and I needed that. When I got home, I tried to harness a little bit of that energy, and I did some plant chores that needed doing desperately. I had to clean up my houseplants, getting rid of all the dead leaves and stuff. I propagated some larger plants to make them smaller to prep for the move. I had to throw out a couple that were sort of dry and neglected. And I got a chance to just sort of slow down and admire some of the new leaves and blooms that I hadn't appreciated or bothered to take the time to notice and appreciate. So I needed that. I needed a little bit of slow down time. My wrap up is going to sound a bit different this month, mostly because I've talked about the books already that I can talk about. I read 6 books in the month of February. I read The Fellowship of the Ring from the Lord of the Rings trilogy by J.R.R. Tolkien, and I reread Speak by Laurie, Halse, both of which I did in-depth book reviews on, so I'm not going to go over them again. I'm just going to link those videos below. They were both excellent reads for different reasons. And then the other 4 books that I read, I can't talk about. They were all assigned to my TBR by Jay from My Quarter Life Crisis, who's very funny and whose channel you should check out. We did a collab video where we swapped TBRs. And so I read 4 out of the 6 that she assigned to me. I read 3 Dark Crowns. I read My Sister the Serial Killer. I read The Family Fang and One to Watch. I can't review them yet because we're going to do like a review video together of our reactions to reading each other's recommendations, so stay tuned for that. So I thought I'd talk about my March TBR a little bit. I have a couple of assigned reads that I need to finish. I am finishing the last 2 recommendations by Jay, which include The Power by Naomi Alderman and A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. I have to finish The Nature of Witches, which is a buddy read that I am finishing up with Teacup the Storyteller. I need to actually read my middle grade March pick, which was Redwall by Brian Jakes, which I'm very excited to reread. That was one of my favorite early fantasy series with cute ass animals and glorious descriptions of food that I stole from my brother's bookshelf at a very young age. I have 2 running books that I'd kind of like to read since I'm going to be hopefully getting back into running in April. And sometimes I like to read running books to kind of get me inspired to go. I'm going to be reading Bravey, and I'm going to be reading Running with Sherman. I'm going to try to read both of those. We'll see how successful I am. The plan is to read them both, so hopefully that'll keep me motivated for running. It is also time for me to pick another classic in a cup, so I'm going to pick a classic to read. Okay, we're doing this one. Well, that's a pretty good start, if I do say so myself. No. So the classic that I've assigned myself to read for March and April is A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. So that's gonna take a while. Well, I don't know. I felt hesitant about reading The Fellowship of the Ring for the same reason. I thought it was gonna be long and I wasn't gonna like it, but I liked the other Dickens that I read. So, and I was wrong about The Fellowship of the Ring, so I'm probably wrong about this. So we shall see. But I have till the end of April to finish A Tale of Two Cities. So I think, like a lot of people, I just feel a little bit lost right now, talking with my husband and the fact that I grew up in a time of relative peace when war did not affect my daily life. Its impacts sort of felt alien and unfathomable, like something that had been relegated to history books. There's just no winners in war. When I feel kind of hopeless, I start thinking about something my mom told me when I was younger. And I think it was something like, she really wanted kids, but she started to think that maybe she shouldn't bring any kids into the world, because how can you bring kids into a world that's full of things like war and cruelty and awfulness? And I don't know why, but the fact that she told me that always makes me feel a little bit better. Maybe because my mom had the same thoughts that I did when she was around the age that I am now. And I bet she probably doesn't even remember telling me that, but it was a good one, Mom. It stuck with me. It just kind of reminds me to look for the light, that there's always some hope and kindness and beauty and life and growth if you look, if you're patient. Things do get better, even when it doesn't feel like that's possible. In the meantime, I'm going to keep packing my boxes of stuff that I am, of course, very lucky and blessed to have and have the time to move. And I'm going to keep reading books with friends, both near and far, and I'm going to try to be kind and to help people who are hurting in the small ways that I can. And I'll keep looking for the good, because what else can you do? What else is there to do? So that's where I am, and maybe it's not high energy and wonderful, but it is hopeful, and that's enough for now. Thanks for watching, and happy reading.